Wow. 9 days. I got a chance to see this project. It's an amazing project that triggers a lot of thought. That is starring a good friend of the show, somebody we admire much. DB, you want to do the honors?
Of course, and just like you and Heather B, he's a part of the Marvel family, appearing as M'Baku in Black Panther, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame. I still cry at the end of that film, at the end of that movie. Last time he came by the show to promote his role in Jordan Peele's horror film Us, he recently starred as Hawk alongside Mark Wahlberg in the Netflix film Spencer Confidential. He's back on Sway in the Morning to promote this incredible film, 9 days in theaters right now. Please welcome him back, Winston Duke.
Winston!
What up, Winston?
What up?
Hey! Come on, man. We back at it, baby.
Favorite show.
Come on, Winston. We still in the game, baby. COVID ain't stopping us, bro.
Man.
Come on.
I knew it. I knew you would keep it real. I knew we had to keep coming with fire. So we're here.
Man.
We're back.
Man, how you been? And your voice, when I hear your voice, I hear joy. I hear content. I hear balance. You know, is all that true? Am I diagnosing you properly?
You are diagnosing me completely accurately. It's fantastic. I've been doing a lot of self-work. This project is one that, deals with mental health. Personal self-care is a major thing that comes out of it. Things like that. And I spent quarantine really working on myself. I'm in therapy twice a week. Happy with it. So doing well.
Good. Twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I've done therapy before, but it's never been twice a week. Tell me about twice a week. Is it twice the benefit, or?
I mean, my problem was I was spending like 50 minutes talking, and then my therapist was spending 10 minutes, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. I need more time. And she was like, yeah, we don't really have any more time, and that's how it works. But I was like, I need you to help me figure this out. So I need more time. So I've booked like another hour in the week. So she can do more talking from when I spoke, the previous session. I just needed more.
Okay. I like that.
That's what's up. Did it take you a while to embrace it, Winston? Or was it like
No, I kind of dove head first into it. I always compare it to this. I feel like my inner mental space was like a dark room, right? And I was just stumbling around in this dark room. But this dark room had a lot of furniture in it. And if I felt around in this dark space, I could feel there's a couch in here. But if I move away from the couch, I can't find it again. If I go to the table, I know it's over there someplace, but I can't find it. And the therapy felt like I switched a light on, and now I have a full gaze on what's in the room and how to really use it. So I said, oh, that's the couch over there. And not only is it a couch, it's a pullout. Oh, there's a table there, and there's things on the table that I could utilize. And man, in that corner over there, there's a rickety old table that's a mess. And when the lights were off, I was just bumping into that table and breaking stuff and hurting my own feelings. Or if someone else was invited into this room, they would be wandering around in the dark with me, and they might run into that table in the corner, and it would break down, and we would have problems. So now I could organize my room. I could clean it up. I could utilize all the things in my room because the light's on. I could put some caution tape around that rickety old table in the corner, and I could say, hey, thanks for coming into my room. Everything is open, but that corner over there, I'm working on it, so please don't go over in that corner until I fix it, and we can use that little table and have some tea or something. And it just allows me to have so much more clearance and understanding of myself. And that's kind of how I describe it. It just feels like the lights are on finally. You know what I mean? And it's no longer stumbling around in the dark.
Amen.
That was well put together and said. That therapy is working.
Hey, man, we need it. We need it.
When you could put the words to that, Rich hung up. I'm sorry. Heather B, when you could put the words to like you did, I know that the therapy is working. I'm so happy for you, Winston. I'm very happy for you. Absolutely, man. And you're a part of a really amazing project, 9 days, which raises a lot of questions. And then when you watch it, too, what I like about it is a lot of questions that aren't answered. You know what I mean? And you
100%.
You kind of got to do the knowledge. You got to do the work yourself. Yeah, let's talk about this movie and this great cast that you guys have and the premise of it. Is that okay?
Of course. So the premise of 9 Days is there is a man in the afterlife, and he is tasked with a job, and his job is interviewing spirits for the opportunity to be born. And that interview process takes place over 9 days. But this 9 days is going to be a very particular, special 9 days where no one involved is going to be the same, especially the lead character, Will, that I play. And that's 9 days. And it stars myself, Zazie Beetz, Bill Skarsgård, and just an overall great cast. You know, Benedict Wong, who's also another Marvel guy. He plays Wong in Doctor Strange. You know, Zazie plays Domino in Deadpool. So it's a really great cast, but, you know, you're seeing these faces that you're familiar with and just a new context. And it's just beautiful work. It's a script that really respects the audience's intellect. So it doesn't spoon feed you any answers. It leaves you with a lot more questions than it is answers. And it's very artistic in the sense that it's a particular director's autistic, altruistic, view of his storytelling. So this story was inspired by Edson Oda, the director. His uncle committed suicide at the age of 50. So growing up, he was told, don't be like your uncle. Your uncle was weak. And that's the only thing the family would say about his uncle. Don't be like your uncle was weak. And as he got older and dealt with depression and dealt with a lot of his own personal struggles, he researched his uncle, found out his uncle was just this beautiful man who was an artist that never got to really practice his art. He was a translator. He was, had relationships, this, that, and the other, and none of this was discussed. And his life was just reduced to that one action, that he killed himself. So it was an opportunity for the director to redefine the narrative around his uncle's life and give him a new one where he's exploring some of the things that he didn't really get to grapple with in life. And that's the character of Will. So he is this character that is, very much pained by what life is and tries to hold and suppress his emotions and really be something different than a human being until he is forced to be that human being and accept. So it's actually a movie that sounds a bit dark, but it's actually really beautiful, and it's an affirmation of life because it's one of those movies that leave you going, man, I already won the lottery just to be here.
Yeah.
I'm a lottery winner just to be on this plane of existence. And everything is everything. You know what I mean? All the small moments in life are just as important and equal to the big, big macro moments of life. And I think that's, after coming out of quarantine, sentiments like that, I think we're all a little bit more just ready to kind of accept and start having those kind of conversations. But it doesn't put it in your face. It doesn't spoon feed you. It's not didactic. It's not, it doesn't treat you like an infant. It's not infantilizing at all. And that's 9 days,
That's 9 days. I liken it to a very doable jigsaw puzzle, mental jigsaw puzzle. Yeah.
Exactly.
Edson Oda's, this is feature film debut. A lot of times established actors like yourself may not feel comfortable being with a director in their film debut. What made you comfortable to star in this project?
Man, that's a great question. I read the script, and the script blew my mind. When I read scripts, I always try to just imagine what it would be like as an audience member. And I like going on journeys. How I put it is I like climbing a mountain. I like for the journey to end someplace completely different than where it started. And that's what happens in this movie. So I read that script and I said, wow, I didn't know anything about Edson. But I said, wow, I just went on a trip. I don't know where I'm at, but I'm changed. And I was like, all these things would be great for an audience to see. And where how movies function these days is movies, not these days, just in general. It's there as a source of, escapism, entertainment, all these things, but it's usually very easy to comprehend and like pretty simple. But what Edson does really beautiful in this movie is he gives you all the common tropes of filmmaking in a whole different way. There is violence in this movie, but it's emotional violence. It's intellectual violence. So you do have an action movie, but it's not an action movie. You do have a movie that has a chase scene, but it's not your chase scene driving movie. Mm-hmm. It's a movie of people chasing each other, running to each other, pulling away. It's that kind of push and pull. It's a movie of suspense, but it's not like your classic intellectual spy thriller like heist movie. Mm-hmm. There are things happening, and it's just redefined in a really beautiful way. And I said, man, this isn't treating anyone as if they should understand exactly what this is going to be. And it leaves it open for deep interpretation, and it's everything all in one. So when I read that, I was like, man, this is really cool. And the other thing I look for is if a script is really strong, I go, what would I add to this? Am I just going to fit in, or am I going to add something completely distinct? This movie felt really non-gendered. Like a woman could have played the role of Will, and it would have been pretty much the same setup. And I said, as a black man, as a big black man, as a traditionally appearing male figure, I can add a whole different dimension to this script than what's on the page. The movie is about psychology and psychiatry, and with My Body, it becomes about black psychology in a way. With My Body, it becomes a deep kind of conversation about how masculinity can appear. The character isn't in any kind of sexual relationship or in sexual proximity to any of the other characters in this film, which is something that you don't see on screen very often. It's not a movie where a man is after a woman or a man is after a man or anything like that. It's completely non-gendered in a way other than he is referred to as he. You know what I mean? And I said there's so many opportunities here that if you dive into it, it's just present, but it's not spoon-fed to you. So when I met him, I said, okay, cool. This is your first movie, but what you wrote here, I could see so much potential in what you wrote. And I'm not too far off from this being my first movie either. So I get it. And you know what I mean? I'm not too far from that world.
You hear that, DB? He said he's not too far from his first movie.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's it's funny because my question actually revolves around that, because as an actor, if you're lucky enough to get a big break, choosing the roles after that is almost like a chess game. And so what's your approach, which you kind of sort of touched on, but what's your approach as far as picking projects that are both fulfilling but also keeps your career moving forward?
I try to challenge what the status quo for what I should be doing is. So after Black Panther, I just kept getting a lot of roles that was like action things, physical things, body things. And I know who I am. I'm a guy that's always in different conversations, and I'm super flexible. And I said I wanted to show different aspects of myself and a lot of range, not just in my acting ability, but in my thought capacity. So I choose things that challenge that. It challenges the notion of like what my body is supposed to do and how my body is supposed to function inside narrative. So it doesn't always have to be something that's driven by the physicality, but the physical presence could add another layer to whatever the story that is there and that is already given. So I try to push things in that way. And then, sometimes you just got to put food on the table and still do that thing that you're really, really good at. But I try to just keep mixing it up and challenge myself, because I want to build, for my own self, I want to build a really great film library that I did and accomplished in the time that I was given to be on screen. Like, it's not going to last forever. I'm very aware of that. But I want to be left years after now saying, man, look at these different things that I did. I had a really full career. And I'm just like living in my future, in my present, in that kind of way. And I love stories that create conversation. I like when people go, I don't like it, but this is why, and this idea came to me, or I love it, and this is why this idea came to me, and what do you think about this? Why would we do this? Why would we do that? I've kind of divorced myself from caring too much for the I like or I dislike. It's what did it do? And if it didn't do anything to you, that's usually where I'm more concerned. Like, did this story leave you with anything? Did it do anything for you? Especially movies that I go into with this intention of like provoking conversation. 9 Days is a conversation provoker.
Yeah.
You know, it's provocative.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely provocative. Winston Duke is joining us, a star of 9 Days. I call him a star because that's what he is. He shine bright like a diamond, HB.
Shine bright like a diamond?
Wait!
There it is, man. Come on, Tracy, you want to get him before he has to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I got 2 questions I want to slide in. One is more, yes? You said please?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He's begging you for the questions, basically.
I got you. I'm just serving it up right now. Okay, so I thought of when you were sharing how you received the script, and I got curious because we have a lot of citizens who want to enter the realm of acting, you know, and there's so many details that you'll never find out about until you're in it. And so when it comes to scripts, having an agent, is it that I know a part of it is when you do a film, just like you said after Black Panther, people have an idea like, oh, okay, Winston can do this. Here are some scripts. But then is there a time where like the agent is bringing you a script that someone didn't necessarily think of you for, but the agent is like, Winston, I feel like you should look at this anyway? Are you also sometimes at like dinners? I've heard stories where sometimes someone is speaking to a director and they hear the idea for a film and they're like, yo, is it possible I can read the script? And they kind of insert themselves. What are all the different ways that a script lands in your lap?
That's a really great question. Really great detailed question. So 9 Days was one of those things where I wasn't being considered for 9 days, but I was really clear and explicit with my team and my lead agent in how I want to be represented and the things that I wanted to do. So they were represented because agents represent production companies, they represent directors, they represent different things. So they're always in a space of connecting people. And clarity, I've seen, especially for me, has been amongst the most useful things in my tool belt. It's just being really clear about what I want and how I want to be perceived. And agents are exactly as such. They're agents of your will, essentially. They will do what you want to do. And if you don't really know what you want to do, a lot of things will come and you might end up a little bit lost. So I try to take as much responsibility and accountability for like how my career is kind of being directed. So I communicate that intention at all times. And you could tell I talk a lot.
Right.
So, real talk. Like I just get into it and I just tell them, I call them regularly and tell them the things I like. I'll watch something and I'll say, yeah, I really like this or I really like that. And this is why. And I'm really detail oriented in explaining what I want and why I want it. 9 Days was being represented by my agent. He read the script first. And he said, this is a really interesting script. I don't know if you would like it, but just take a read of it. I feel like it's something that's up your alley because it's a bit strange, but it left me thinking. I read the script, and that's one particular way, which is like, you might not be considered for it, but you're so clear in the things that you are open to and that you're willing to do that someone else brings it to you. Another way is that way of like, hey, I'm at a party, and what I'm just learning is a big part of your ability to get really great work as well is, it all has to do with some of the people that you traffic with. So you're working with really great artists, you're in conversations with other really great artists, and you're just really clear about what interests you. So when you're at some of these parties and you get into real conversations, because these conversations vary, as you all know, you're all in the industry.
I'm dead.
Conversations vary. That's a good way of putting it.
More wine,
please. These conversations vary, and then sometimes you just end up in a really great conversation in the most unexpected place with the most unexpected person, and that travels, which is why it's always important for me to just remember how I'm carrying myself and the kind of conversations I'm engaging in and where and when. So a lot of really great things come from casual meetups and casual like interactions with really smart, creative, beautiful people. And that's one way that you can get involved in things. Auditions are another one, you know what I mean? Because sometimes if there's a business side to all of this, which is if they're putting a lot of money behind something, they want to have less risk. So they're going to want you to audition if they're putting in hundreds of millions of dollars because they want to see what you can do sometimes before they hand those reins over to you. So auditions is another way, but there's a myriad of different ways where things come to you, and I've just been learning the importance of being open, staying ready, and just being flexible. Just being flexible, knowing myself so I can have these kind of conversations at any time. Someone comes up to me and we just engage, and I'm just being honest and true and direct and clear. And through quarantine and all that therapy that I told y'all about, that's another one of those skill sets I've been working on, which is just being really clear, being really direct, being really honest in a way that doesn't leave me overly vulnerable, but still welcomes people in conversation where they're like, oh yeah, I really like this guy. That guy's really genuine. And what he's talking about, that's something I'm really interested in interrogating in my work. Maybe I could be in conversation with this guy in process, because I think with really great creative people, they just want to know that they feel safe in process with other really creative people. Because acting is not a singular person's process. You can't make them, not acting, but like filmmaking, storytelling in that way. You can't just be one actor and do a whole show. That's a one-man show on Broadway. That's a whole different context. You know, a director, you're in conversation with directors, you're in conversation with producers, with lighting, design people, costume people, writers. You're in conversation with a studio or a financial person if it's independent. It's just learning to be in conversation with a lot of different people and still having respect for yourself where you can choose yourself and choose, you know, to respect yourself at all times in those situations. So I hope I answered your question.
Man,
Absolutely.
you gave us a lecture hall today, Winston Duke. We appreciate you, brother. We covered so many topics in a 25-minute time span. I love your dialogue. I love your conversation. I love your transparency.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I love that you really commit to giving people real fruitful, bountiful, robust answers to these questions, man. I think anybody tuned in right now, if you're taking notes, you're going to learn a lot from this conversation. And make sure you check him out. DB, you want to give out the information again, DB?
Yes, sir. He is starring in the film 9 days in theaters right now. And, of course, be on the lookout for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I know you guys are in production right now, so I know that's going to be a highly anticipated sequel for both Marvel fans and fans of Black Panther in general. So we'll be waiting for that, and hopefully we can have you back on talk about that when it hits theaters.
Very much so. Thank you.
Thank you. Winston Duke, be great, man. Stay great. And make sure y'all watch the project. It's an excellent one. I got a chance to see it in advance because I know people. But Winston, I'm glad you're doing well, brother. Stay blessed. Send my love to your family. All right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.